is a fantastic option. Okay, so the last procedure, I know you guys we got to get closing up here, is called MFAT. Okay, now MFAT doesn't stand for fat, but it's kind of ironic that it stands for adipose tissue. Okay, it's the acronym is micronized or micro-fragmented adipose tissue. Okay, so basically what we do with this, and we didn't know this. This is kind of a relatively newer procedure. That actual adipose tissue has the highest concentration of something called pericytes and mesenchymal stem cells in our body. Okay, and we didn't know this. We thought that they all had to come from the bone marrow or something like that. And so adipose tissue because adipose tissue is constantly changing, okay? Either for the good or for not, okay? But certain portions of adipose tissue have these high level of growth factors, of pericytes, which pericytes are actually the progenitors of stem cells, okay? So they're a very young, immature cell that we get where vascular tissue is being created, okay? So next to a capillary or next to a small blood vessel, and we're talking microscopic type stuff here, okay? And so these pericytes basically help promote what is called angiogenesis, which is an increase of blood flow, an increase of blood and vessel formation, okay? So any type of healing thing that we have in our body, we have angiogenesis, or we hope we do, because that is how we produce the necessary blood vessels, that the blood vessels then bring the nutrients for the healing. So any type of injury, bone injury, degenerative injury, traumatic injury, we have this inflammatory process that then signals angiogenesis that brings and recruits new blood vessels. The blood vessels bring the necessary oxygen and nutrients and growth factors to the tissue. That's how we heal, okay? This adipose tissue is very effective at of providing these growth factors and these stem cells and these progenitor cells. So what we do is we actually harvest the subcutaneous adipose tissue almost in a liposuction type way, okay? You mentioned the flank, okay? Most of us, even unless we're kind of bodybuilder type, below 10% body fat, which is not natural, okay? We basically have either in our abdomen or in our flank area, we have enough adipose tissue in the subcutaneous plane that we can actually harvest that under local anesthetic with something called tumescence, where you mix a little epinephrine, a little lidocaine, and you basically anesthetize the area, and then you'll basically draw out syringes of adipose tissue. And then we use a special filter kit system that has been designed to take out kind of all the bad stuff and the fragmented stuff and a lot of the fibrotic tissue and things like that. And it focuses in on these very small growth-related adipose cells. Okay? It is actually. Now, and that's kind of that third line that I recommend. Okay, PRP is kind of first line, good. BMAC is better. MFAT is best, so to speak. No, it's about the same as the bone marrow, actually. It's identical to the bone marrow. But it's the kits are more expensive, yes. But the actual procedure is a little less invasive. So I would use that kind of, it's highly indicated for more severe arthritis, okay? And they believe that a lot of, and this is still in kind of research phase, it all is, okay? And we're learning more and more about it every day. But the MFAT procedure, the advantage of that is that it sticks around longer, okay? You've got more of what we call an extracellular matrix. So you've got more of a scaffold of these cells to stay, but you can still inject them into joints for more severe osteoarthritis, and it's really good for tendon healing. So let's say you have a rotator cuff tear that is a partial tear, okay? And I would recommend doing the MFAT procedure because you can inject that adipose tissue in the tendon itself. Those stem cells and those progenitor cells and those growth factors stay where it's localized a lot longer and a lot better, and they provide a scaffolding for more collagen growth and for better healing, okay? So in kind of more of the extensive, like I have a patient now that has, and it's also better because you can harvest more of it pretty easily, okay? You know, you don't want to just take a bunch more blood or something like that. We kind of limit the PRP to kind of smaller areas, or like one joint, or sometimes two joints if you harvest a little bit more. But MFAT, you can actually have enough injectate that you can, like I'm going to inject, she has an arthritic hip and arthritic knees. So one harvesting, inject hip, both knees. If there's other tissue around there that needs help with healing, so you can kind of do multiple areas easier, I guess you could say. And so these are just three procedures that we do that kind of have different